Hey, tell me if this sounds familiar. You're disciplined, you're driven, you lead teams, grow businesses, and make things happen. But when it comes to your health and fitness, the same confidence, let's say, just doesn't quite show up. You've tried eating cleaner, you've done the healthy eating thing, maybe you've dabbled in workouts, maybe even worked with a trainer. You've told yourself it is time more than once, but the energy is still consistent. The body still feels like it just doesn't match who you are. And here's the real problem: you're setting goals without a vision. I'll explain that. Today, I'm actually going to show you exactly why typical goal setting fails and falls flat for, well, let's just say falls flat on its face for high achievers like you, okay? And I'm going to show you how to actually align your health with your God-given purpose. I know that that sounds like it may not align, but I promise you it will. This way here, your body actually starts reflecting the leader you actually are. Hey, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. My name is Lance Carone, and since 2005, I have helped hundreds upon hundreds of high-achieving leaders, professionals, creators, and entrepreneurs that are faith-driven transform their health and fitness from the inside out, without the extremes, without shame, just real strategy, identity alignment, and a system built on rock instead of sand, okay? So the very first thing that we want to talk about is, how do we actually do this? What does it look like to actually have this faith-aligned vision, or this biblically aligned vision, in order to get yourself healthy and fit? And you might be thinking to yourself, like, Lance, does this really have anything to do with my walk with God, my fitness? Well, I assure you it does. I'm going to show you just a few things here in just a second. So the very first thing is, I want to encourage you to stop relying on willpower and start living from vision, okay? The reason why you keep snapping back into the old lifestyles, meaning that you maybe get healthy or fit for a little bit, maybe you lose some weight and you regain it, whatever that might be for you, the reason is because most people, they set goals, they get hyped, they go hard and rigid, only to burn out physically or emotionally, or even both, unfortunately. The thing is that goals without a deep why and a system to support it are almost always going to, well, let's put it this way. They're almost a guarantee, probably the better way to put it, that you're going to stop aiming for that goal when you get stressed, when you get tired, when you get emotional, okay? Basically, when life happens, all right? So the thing is that you don't need more willpower. You need a reason that actually hits your heart, and a process actually that carries you when motivation begins to dip, when emotions run high, or when they run low, or stressful situations seem more urgent than what your goals are. And guys, that's the key, is that a lot of times life is going to hit, and in that moment, it's going to feel like whatever is going on is more urgent and therefore more important. And then that leads to prioritizing that thing over your health and fitness. There's several ways to make sure that this doesn't happen, and that's what we're going to talk about. But Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And when your vision actually aligns with your purpose, yes, even in fitness, you will not need the constant discipline, because you're actually going to be driven by your calling, and the payout that you get from getting in shape, from being healthy, from being fit, is going to be significantly greater than the pain that it took to get there. In other words, the payout, the outcomes are significantly greater and more rewarding than even the pain or the time it took, what it cost you to get yourself in shape, but only when you do it the right way. And that's what we're going to make sure that we get dialed in. So the next thing you need to know is that what you really actually need is a clear, biblically aligned goal, okay? Now, again, I realize if you're watching this, you might be thinking, like, really? Does it really? Yes, let me prove this to you. I've now been a fitness coach for 20 years, and the reason that I have kept fit, even though I don't have what I would deem as like the athlete or fitness discipline, is because I have a vision that aligns with my purpose, my calling, and what the Lord is using me for. And it's also biblically aligned, meaning that it fits my lifestyle. And yeah, I'll just explain a little bit more. So vague goals do not change lives, but vision-backed goals do, all right? So a goal is just the what. It's a target, all right? So in every goal, we have a what, we have a why, and we have a how. Most people only get the what, which is just the goal. And most of the time, they don't even get that right, all right? So the goal is going to be something like, I want to lose weight and get healthy. I want to put muscle on and get healthy. I want to get fit after 40, all right? Whatever that might be. Getting more specific is the very first step, was going to be something like, I want to, if you're a female, I want to get to 22% body fat in the next 90 days. Or a male, I want to get to 12% body fat in the next 90 days. Now, guys, if you're at 30% body fat and you're trying to get to 22%, dropping 8% in the next 9 days or 90 days is probably not going to be realistic. It can happen, but I do want to say, make sure that you set realistic goals, right? So a lot of times people overlook that, like, was it even realistic for your life and for what you have going on in your life? What you need to know is that vague goals like, well, I want to look better, I want to feel better. Well, Lance, I just want to fit better in my clothes and just get healthy. I just want to keep up with my kids. When you start mentioning the kids, we're getting closer, but we're still not there at what that goal is. Your subconscious or your unconscious mind needs a very clear destination to lock onto, and it needs to be rewarding so that even when life is busy and chaotic, you're still focused on the reward or the payout for reaching that goal rather than the cost of keeping up with the habits to achieve the goal, okay? Make sure that you're always focusing on not the cost of getting fit, but that you're focusing on the outcome or the rewards of when you get fit. When you're focused on pain versus pleasure, the pleasure has to be delayed, and the pain you've got to be willing to put up with now so that you don't have to put up with the pain of staying unhealthy, of staying unfit. Now, I've got videos on that, specifically versus pain versus pleasure, etc. So I won't get into that too much on this video, but I do want you to know that you've got to make sure that if you're focusing on pain, you're focusing on the pain of what your current life is costing you and not the pain of getting in shape, all right? So strong goals are going to be specific. Now, guys, you've already heard the SMART goal thing. SMART, measurable, actionable, blah, 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 all that. We're going to talk a couple of those, but that's not really what we're talking about here. So yes, they've got to be specific. That's why I say I want to lose 22% or get into 22% body fat in the next 90 days. They need to be measurable, meaning that you've got to be able to make sure that it is a quantitative thing, not feel better, look better. Those are not measurable. Those are not quantitative. They're qualitative. They're not quantitative. You've also got to make sure that they're time bound. Set a deadline on when you want to reach said thing. And it doesn't, the way that I teach it is not going to be concrete. And I'll talk about that in a second, okay? You also have to make sure, and this is the part where most people do not ever consider, you've got to make sure that all of your goals are aligned with not just your short-term goals, but your long-term lifestyle and your values. Why? Well, because there's drugs out there that make you unhealthy, but will get you, let's say, down weight very quickly. But it's going to take, it's going to take some consequences on your body, possibly your mind, possibly your finances. If you are doing things based on trying to get things as quick as possible instead of as permanent as possible, you're probably not necessarily aligned with building your health and fitness on rock. It's more so building your health and fitness on sand. So that as soon as a storm comes, stress, having to stay late at work, any of these things, a stressful season, having just a really, whatever it is, like there's so many different things. My mind goes blank whenever I think of like all the things that people have told me over the years. But as soon as this stressful situation or this exciting situation happens, then that's what we want to make sure that it doesn't derail your health and fitness journey just because it's like, oh, well, Lance, you just don't get it, man. So-and-so or this happened, and then the dog did this, and I had to take the kids to do this. And yeah, man, you're describing real life. And real life is going to happen. You want to prepare for that. That's the same reason we put back in savings to prepare for whatever crises come down our way, whatever storms come our way. But if you are doing and building your health and fitness on sand, it's going to be based on getting fit or getting healthy as quick as possible, getting the weight off so you can get back to normal. And that's not going to be what is built on rock. So you can count on those results fading in the wind as soon as life gets busy, okay? So the last part that you want to make sure that you do is you never set an all or nothing goal. So often people set goals where they're just like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in the next 6 months. And that's their goal. And it's like, it's not a bad goal, but here's the issue. I've seen so many people lose 45 pounds instead of 50, and then they're defeated. Or they lose that weight and they don't have any plan for after. There's so many different reasons wrong for using that one and done system where you're just like, I'm just going to do this and that's it. There's no real plan other than getting to that goal. And when you have a goal that doesn't have any flex room, you end up feeling either defeated if you don't get it, or you end up getting rigid in order to reach that goal because there is no flexibility for if you had a crazy week or a crazy month or whatever. So what I teach is simply to do a low, mid, and high tier setting goal. So your good goal is going to be, well, let me put it this way. We say good, great, and awesome goals. I've talked about this in several videos. You're going to hear it a lot. But you set good, great, and awesome goals to prevent the all or nothing, which is low, medium, and high. So your good goal is your lowest tier of your desired outcome. So, I'll just say this. Your great goal is your middle tier. Your awesome is the highest tier, also known as the best possible outcome that you are expecting to achieve. What I normally do is I tell people let's say that if your first reaction is, Lance, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in the next 6 months, we want to call that likely your great or your awesome goal, okay? So let's say if it's your awesome goal, lose 50 pounds in 6 months, your great goal, one underneath of that might be lose 45 pounds in 6 months. Your good goal underneath that might be lose 40 pounds in 6 months. Or you can switch it where it's, I'm going to still lose that 50 pounds, but my awesome goal is in 6 months. My great goal beneath that is in 7 months. My good goal beneath that is 8 months, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Drop me a comment below. If that doesn't, I'll clear it up for you. But what this does is it prevents us from that all or nothing goal. So this way, if you know that you have like a rough month or out of that 6, it doesn't totally derail you and frustrate you and feel like, man, now there's no way I'm going to reach my 50-pound goal. Instead, you just go like, well, I may not reach my 50-pound in the 6 months, but I might reach it in 7. I'm going to keep plugging along. This is how you stair-step those goals. The last part is you've got to make sure that your goal is emotionally driven, which leads us to the next part of your goals. We talked about the what, the why, and the how. Most people only focus on the what. We're going to dive into the why, okay? So the next part of this is you've got to find your big why, and you want to anchor every single thing that you do to that why, all right? This is what powers your consistency. Your why, as we typically say, is the emotional fuel that will drive your goal and keep you working towards it, even when life gets hectic, when life gets rough, when your why is so big that it's bigger than you just stopping to reach it just because you had a bad week at the office, or just because you got a bill in that you didn't expect, or the basement flooded, or whatever it might be, okay? So if your why doesn't make you pause, really feel emotional, and almost tear up, it's probably not deep enough. And I mean that for men and women watching this, okay? If you are a faith-driven, high achiever like myself, it should be okay for you to get emotional about what not reaching your goal or not living that life is costing you. And just as much, it should make you emotional when you begin to fantasize or to think about what that looks like when you reach it. But it should be more than just like, oh, I'll fit so good in my clothes and people are going to tell me congratulations. Those are good things. Those are vanity metrics. But really, we want to think about when you think about what you're being held back from, okay, why you want to reach your goal, that's what we're talking about. So I have, out of 20 years of doing fitness coaching, I've worked with people who have been held back from promotions because of their confidence and their lack of health and fitness. People who stayed single for years because they believed that they weren't good enough to go and pursue somebody. People who stayed in horrible relationships where they were unevenly yoked and misaligned, but they were totally buying into the notion that that's all they deserved, all because they weren't healthy and fit. And guys, these are not people that barely were skating by financially. These are people that were successful in all other endeavors but their health and fitness. So if that's you and you're thinking like, oh my gosh, that's me, this guy's reading my mail here, and I know like I've got a successful business, my family's successful, but I don't feel the joy, I don't feel like I'm living up to my calling and my purpose, congratulations, you're in the right place. And this means that if it's bothering you, those are the areas where you know you need to work on. And that becomes kind of, if we flip it, the beginning of your why. This is why, because I don't want to feel these things that feel negative in my life. I want to be in the calling that the Lord has put me in. And I want to make sure I'm serving the people he's put me here to serve in a way that pleases him and in a way that is aligned with the purpose that he's called me to do or to be. All right. So again, it should absolutely move you to emotion if you have your why set correctly. Not to mention that if something in life feels more emotional, urgent, or important, such as stressors or things that are exciting, like building a new home, you're going to choose that thing over your goal if your why isn't strong enough and emotional enough. I've seen it 1,000 times. People are like, Lance, I will do anything to get in shape, and I've seen that you can help me. Please do it. And then I'm like, okay, cool, let's stay focused. And then if this person doesn't really get attached super well to their underlying motivation, also known as their why, they'll decide like, oh, hey, I'm doing good and I'm down 15 pounds. I'm feeling better. And hey, my family and I were just talking, we're going to build a new house. So I'm going to do my best over the next couple months. But just so you know, it's going to be pretty busy. And I'm like, hey, that's cool. But is that timing good? Not that I'm discouraging guys from doing, building something like that. But a lot of times this is where if your why is not strong enough, you won't see any problem with reaching out for other goals at the same time. And you won't even realize you're cutting yourself off of the knees. You're taking away your margin and you're spreading your energy level too vastly. So you're spread too thin. And again, just like I just said, as soon as that thing feels more important than what you're focused on, this thing drops, your health and fitness drops, and then you're back at starting over again, okay? So this is where people think that they've lost motivation, but unfortunately, all they've done is just lost sight of their vision. That's all it is. So this is why we want to make sure that you start with that vision in the beginning. So examples might be like, well, I want to be around to walk my daughter down the aisle, and right now, there's no way I would feel good about doing that. Or I don't know, she's 7 years old. Am I going to make it? That's a beginning. That's a good why. Or I want to stop hiding in under oversized shirts and finally feel confident in my own skin. Or if you're like me, where I was at is I want to be able to, even though I'm a trainer at the time, this is like 15 years ago, I want to feel comfortable having my shirt off in front of my spouse because as you know, nothing stops intimacy. And I don't mean just physical, but nothing stops intimacy when you're with your spouse and you feel like you can't even be physically vulnerable or even emotionally vulnerable because you're trying to protect yourself because you don't like what you see in the mirror, okay? Can I get a witness here? I have worked with so many people that are believers that they struggle with their marriage because they struggle with their self-image, their weight, their health, even though they are making killer money, have an amazing family, the Lord's blessing them, and their marriage is good, but it's missing something, okay? And these are still on the lower end because we're not even talking about your big calling. If your marriage is like that, do you think that you're going to be used in the same capacity by the Lord? Or do you think that you would even hear the calling? You're probably going to see yourself as, well, that can't be for me. I've got too much stuff and I don't see myself that way. There's all kinds of things that stand in your way of your calling, your purpose, what keeps you fulfilled, okay? Anyway, I'll stop droning on there. Another one would be, I want to age with energy and grace, and I want to live to my highest purpose and confidence and with grit, okay? Like, I want to be able to fight. I want to win this thing called life. This should feel like a God-aligned, purpose-driven reason that shapes your decisions because everything that you're going to choose when you have this vision is either going to be in alignment with it or out of alignment with it, okay? What that means is that if you have this vision of, I want to get to 22% body fat so that I can finally wear clothes that make me feel like I'm confident, healthy. I'm living an example for my kids, for my colleagues, my coworkers, my staff maybe. And because of that, I feel like now I can finally step into my calling. Maybe I'm going to become an author. Maybe I'm going to go into ministry of some kind. Maybe I'm going to, whatever it might be that you're going to do is going to be whatever that dream that the Lord put on your heart at the beginning that you probably let go of at some point when you just got into survival mode, all right? So think about your calling. Think about your purpose. Think about your standards in life. Who are you supposed to reach? Who are you supposed to lead? Who are you supposed to guide? Can you effectively do that if you're not in shape and healthy? I say not as effective as what you could be. Even if you are doing it, you're not as effective. So you want to make that part of your why. And then you've got to revisit your why daily, okay? Speak it, write it, and see it. But if it's not written, it does not exist. Put it in a place that you can see every gosh dang day so that you can see this and be reminded, oh yeah, that's why I'm getting up to do this workout. Oh yeah, that's why I am going to prepare my workout clothes and make sure that I've got food that align with this goal and this why, right? So it's your emotional fuel to reach your goal. So don't forget to fill the tank, all right? Okay, now we want to build a goal system and not just a goal. I'm going to go through this very quick because I've got two more big things I want to make sure I cover for you guys. So systems are what sustains your success. Most people hit a goal and then they fall off. They're just one and done, all right? Why does this happen? Simply put, because they didn't build a system to support the identity that's required to maintain those results, all right? This is kind of like where people will save for a vacation. You can save for a vacation and that's hitting a goal, but once you've saved for that vacation, the vacation's over, you're done. That's how most people do their goals. Or I lost 50 pounds and they're like, well, now what? I guess I'll go back to normal. Or some people are like, well, I want to keep it off, but I'm so used to doing all the stuff. I guess I'm just going to just run. Or they set these arbitrary goals, okay, that don't really have any purpose. And then they wonder why they didn't stick with it. So your goal system is the how. We talked about the what in your why. Now we're talking about the how. This is the process, your habits, the structure that supports your transformation, okay? What I always like to tell people is think of your goal system as kind of like the GPS telling you exactly how you're going to reach the what, aka your goal or destination, okay? Your goal is would be an example of like, I want to go on vacation at the end of the year, so I'm going to save $300 a month, all right? Where a goal system is going to say, well, I want to go on vacation at the end of this year and somewhere different every single year thereafter. So now I'm committing to saving $300 a month for the rest of my life. That's a goal system. It's a vague one because we're only talking about saving money, but examples of a goal system for fitness might be like, we call them keystone habits, but it might be something like, I'm committed to strength training 3 times a week for 30 minutes. I'm going to hit my macronutrients within 5 to 7 grams every day. I'm going to weekly do self check-ins every Wednesday or every Sunday night. Or I'm going to do my body composition check-ins every 4 to 6 weeks so that way I know if I'm getting closer or further or stagnating towards my destination, aka my goal, all right? Or I'm going to hit 7 to 10,000 steps daily so that even if I can't get my workout in, I'm still active enough to keep my metabolism going, okay? Now, goal systems are infinite. Goals are finite. Goal systems allow you to hit the goal, to live it, and to keep growing. They prevent the hit it and quit it syndrome where you hit a goal and you're like, great, now what? And you either start something that's arbitrary or you go back to the old life, all right? Very last part is the vision part. Vision is the foundation. It's not the finish line. So here's what most people miss though. Goals are temporary and vision is enduring, okay? So the vision is kind of where we're putting all of the pieces together. It includes your why, but it's not only your why. A clear faith-driven vision is not only going to support your current goals, but every future one without cramping your style or taking away from the things you prioritize the most. Your God, your family, your community, etc., okay? Or your business. You've got to make sure that your health and fitness goals support those other things that you've already invested in. If it takes away from it because you're drinking MetaFast shakes 6 times a day and you feel like trash and you're tempted whenever you go out with clients to eat foods that you know you're not supposed to have on that plan, that's not going to be necessarily a good vision to keep up with, all right? So when your health and fitness aligns with your calling, though, it becomes sacred instead of just strategic. It becomes permanent instead of temporary. All of this happens when you have a vision. So the outcome is a lifestyle where your results actually match your identity. So this is how you make fitness a reflection of your faith and not a reaction to insecurities or bad numbers that you got or bad metrics that you got at the doctor's office, which is normally what happens. Or, just trying to get into some bikini for summer, all right? Now, it's not that those things aren't good to make some changes for, but it's not the same as having a vision that is aligned with your purpose, with your lifestyle, your calling, etc. Okay? It's no longer about losing some weight to get back to normal. Instead, normal is what allowed you to gain the weight to get out of your ideal shape to begin with. So basically, if we have a good vision, we're not trying to get back to normal. The vision is the new normal, because if we try to, quote, lose weight and go back to normal, that normal is what got us to the position where we need to lose weight or need to get in shape to begin with. So stop trying to get back to normal and make your vision of getting in shape a normal you can keep up with and aligns with your lifestyle, your calling, your family, your long-term health. That's the idea, okay? The vision helps you to set a precedent and standard for yourself that fitness isn't temporary to just get yourself back to some old normal, or to get yourself comfortable to fit in some, bikini, or a size of a jean, or just to lose the gut. Those are I would say byproducts of you following the vision, of you getting yourself where you need to go. Okay, so your vision is to help you be at your best year round, so that you can do what you were put here by God to do, in order to serve the people that He put you here to serve. All right, so and again, He put you here to do those things without your constant insecurities, without the low energy or the poor health that stops you from giving the same effort as what your mind or what your spirit tells you to do. And you've got to keep in mind, guys, that a lot of times you think that you need willpower, and ultimately, just like the word says, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So we've got to put ourselves in position so that the flesh doesn't get a chance to be weak. And that means that we start with vision. Why do you think that you still pick up your kids from school after a long day of work? Because your vision is to take care of your kids, even if you have a rough day, okay? Why do you still brush your teeth whenever you're running late, or whenever, life is crazy? Well, because your vision still does require you to go into a place with decent hygiene and not having dragon breath, because that'll impede whatever your goal and vision is. Yes, I'm being facetious here, but it's still true. You already, and the reason I share this with you is you already do things that don't necessarily require discipline per se for you to do them. Yes, they are disciplined acts, but what does them is your commitment to your vision, which is, even if you've never spoken it out loud, you have a vision for your family, for your business, for your life, okay? That's the idea. So, lastly, in closing, the word says that the wise are going to build upon the rock, not sand, all right? So you're not just building abs, you're not just trying to get to a number on the scale, you're building a legacy of health and fitness to set an example of not just being healthy and fit for aesthetic purposes, but so that you can lead from the front, and so that you can lead in a way that, again, aligns with all of your values without conflict, all right? So the sand shifts, the hype fades, the new year buzz dies out, motivation wanes. All of these things happen when you do it the world's way. But when your why is firm, when your goal is clear and your system is steady and your vision is true and aligns with the word, you are going to stand through every storm that comes your way. So thank you guys so much. I know this is a little bit of a longer video, but this one is so important, because this is literally the stuff that I teach my clients to make sure that they don't just reach some aesthetic goals, that they have a total transformation. What I believe that everybody else in the world is doing is getting temporary makeovers, or they're getting an external transformation, but nothing on the inside. So they feel dead inside. I have been there. I have done that, where I got myself in phenomenal shape and still felt empty, still felt like something was missing, okay? We as believers know what that thing is, but what you have to know is that you also have to make sure that the things that you're trying to do align with the word and align with your calling, and that's what makes this permanent. So thank you guys so much. If this resonated with you, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. That way you stay notified and connected with all the future content that I've got coming up. And also, too, feel free to share this if you know somebody that it might help as well. So thanks, guys, so much. I will catch you.